Right here on the video for doodle notes. The point of doodle notes is just to give you another way to learn the same thing, so feel free to add or not add as much as you'd like to. I'm not grading it, just for you to know. So at the top here we have arrows with anatomy and physiology. Anatomy is structures, physiology is functions. So anatomy would be what are the parts. Physiology would be what do they do. Over here we see ways to study. So on these lines we're going to write down different ways we can study anatomy and physiology. If you did this in class with me, it might be a different order, but they're still the same things. So first off, for anatomy, we could study the whole surface, a whole person's surfaces just as they are. We could look at embryos. That's after egg and sperm meet. Once they start developing, we can watch how they develop and see what that anatomy looks like. And we can also watch developmental. So yes, in embryos until they're born, but then also we can watch how people change over time and compare the anatomy of like a child versus an adult. For physiology, we can look at it in terms of the whole person, which is called gross anatomy or macroscopic anatomy. So I'm going to say just so your whole body and how it all functions together. We can look at regions, like maybe just your leg and how those parts work together. We can look at it based on systems, like your digestive system, or we can look at it in terms of cells and tissues, microscope. Down here at the bottom, we're going to have our levels of organization, the ones we need to know for anatomy at least. There are many more levels, we don't need to know them all for anatomy. The largest, well, I'll start at the smallest and work my way up. Smallest is the cell, one cell. There are things smaller than cells, but we don't care about them in anatomy. A group of cells together is a tissue. A group of tissues is an organ. Group of organs is an organ system. And everything together is an organism. I'm going to pause for a second, do some coloring in. Okay. Yes, feel free to add. These are all your notes to do what you're going to do. And I think to keep this video from getting too long, I'm just going to do the first page and then I'll make another video for the second page so that you don't have to watch like a 20-minute video. Scrolling back here, we have all the body systems, and the white box underneath is supposed to be their functions. So our first guy up here is skeletal. His main function, there's lots of things that the bones do, but it's basically support and protection, most of it. And I'm going to color in the bones because I can. The middle one on top is the nervous system. And its job is to send and receive messages. Sorry for the tapping noise. That is my pen hitting the screen. Your nervous system is the brain, spinal cord, and then all of the nerves all throughout the body. The last one on top is cardiovascular. Oh, I totally just spelled that wrong. Cardiovascular. That's the heart and the vessels. The lungs are technically included in that picture, but they have their own thing coming up. The cardiovascular system transports nutrients and gases. I pick red because heart. Why not? You could really put the cardiovascular system in any of these systems because it interacts with all of them. The next row, first one we have is respiratory. And its job is to exchange gases, so take in the oxygen, give out the carbon dioxide. Then digestive. And its job is to break down and absorb food. And muscular. And it's movement. It's how you move. There are other muscles, but we just are not concerned with them in the muscular system. We're only looking at the ones that are pulling on the bones. The heart is in cardiovascular system. It's not a part of this. And the last one in that middle row, yes, is the skin, which fancy science term for its system is integument. Oh, that's all right. Skin. Apologies for my handwriting. It's been a day. The function of the skin is basically to protect and keep things in that are supposed to stay in and keep things out that are supposed to stay out. There's lots of other functions too, we'll get there in a second when we talk about skin in Unit 2. See, I'll make my person purple because reasons. Bottom row. There's one that kind of looks like the brain, but it's not. It's the system that nobody ever hears about. The lymphatic. And it does work with your cardiovascular system, but it's separate. And its job is to fight off infections. When we get to that part, I'm grouping lymphatic with cardiovascular and respiratory because they all go together. The second one in from the bottom was excretory. The kidneys and bladder, and its job is to clean the blood. Again, more about those when we get there. Two more. Endocrine. And its job is to secrete hormones. Hormones are another way that body sends messages. So when we do it eventually, I'm going to stick it with the nervous system since that's also sending messages. But your endocrine system is thyroid. Whoa, sorry, my whole screen just scrolled. My gosh, what's going on with me right now? The thyroid, there's ones on your kidneys, your pancreas, your reproductive organs. There's a bunch of them. It's all over the place. There's also even some in your brain. And the last one is the system I don't know if we'll have time to get to, but I know you've learned about it before because you've had health class. Reproductive. It's only showing the female one here, you know. You would know what the male one is. If not, whoa, sorry. That is not what I wanted to do there. If not, I would say Google it. I don't know if you want to, but go for it. The purpose of reproductive is reproduction. I'm not sure why my pen is suddenly pink. Sorry, you can hear that. So I'm going to do the next 2 pages in a separate video so that you can just see each part. If you have any questions, please let me know.